Welcome back to episode 3 of This Jeep Sucks. We just hit a little over 100,000 miles and everything on the suspension and everything else started falling apart. So wheel seals in the back, brake calipers, all the shocks, it's kind of where it started. Front ball joints. When I was doing the front ball joints, I also found that the tie rods were also not favorable. So I did the right thing and I went out and bought these TRQ, this complete TRQ set that includes the drag links, tie rods, the shackles for adjustments, everything you need to basically just take what old off, put it on here, put it together here, and then put this new back up together. So that's going to be great. This is about a $230 kit. There were some other kits that were cheaper that had most of the same components, but they didn't look as like they were as complete. They also had ball joints and stuff that were around $100, but also this looks more heavy duty. So I decided to actually spend the money and get something that was right. And then also need to do sway bar bushings and sway bar links. All right, I've got all the bags opened up. Only one of these tie rods is actually greasable, so the rest are all sealed. So what I will do is, got a little bit of a ripped boot already. Glad I bought some boots. What I will do is, put my needle down in there and squirt some grease down into that. What I do really like about this kit, this adjuster, now you can buy this adjuster. I think it's this end, this screws into, and then the tie rod screws into this. On my other Jeep, I've got a rough tie rod, and this is completely seized. You can't move it. Just replacing this whole thing is going to be great. And then this bracket for the steering stabilizer, I'm going to have to move, I think, 3/4 of an inch in, because the new one that I just replaced it with is shorter, and it says you need to move this 3/4 of an inch in for that steering stabilizer. If you go back and look at my last video where I did the U-joints, ball joints, you'll see the play that I found in these tie rods. So obviously here's the front drag link tie rods. See, this one is fixed on there, right? They've crimped it. See, these little notches have actually crimped it on there so it can't move. So that one's fixed. And then this one here, I believe these are 21 millimeter bolts. So one bolt here at the pivot arm, and I'll use a pickle fork to knock that one off. And then I'll probably just use a hammer with those two and that one, and then 18 millimeter back here for the steering stabilizer. Here's our setup. Here's a lower drag link tie rod, and then here's the upper drag link tie rods. So big thing is never seize, never seize, never seize, anti-seize, anti-seize. Do it. You'll thank yourself later. So let me get my tape measure and then put this all together and make sure it's the same. I'll leave it loose because there will be some slight adjustments, I believe, once I think the toe is off, and I will set the toe to factories a 1/16 of an inch. I think I'm going to go closer to closer to an 18 with these 32 inch tires. Yeah, these 34, whatever. These giant tires need a little more toe. So, and that's toe in. So the front of the tire is going to be a little farther in. We are all greased up, laid out, ready to go, but never trust a new tie rod end to be the same length. As you can see, some of the markings are different. This has a much shorter, flatter end, bigger head, weird, different head here. This looks like it's bigger than this one. And this tapers out. So you just never know. What I do, my tip, the best way is to go from dead center, because if you're going to try to use one of these, you got to make sure they're perfectly center if you're going to use the stud, I guess, of the joint. So if you do the back of the joint dead center and you measure, that's going to give you a much more accurate measurement. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then, like I said, just set it roughly as best I can. I did adjust this one, so we should be good there. And then I'll put it into the vehicle. Just concerned about the rough measurement. Well, that's it, so no big deal. I'll be more concerned to put it in the car, and I'll show you. I got these nifty tools to show you how to do that. Not too bad of a job, just really getting the sway bar all lined up, because, I mean, if you look there, it looks a little, I don't know, crooked. Maybe that's why the old one, I think the sway bar might be bent just slightly, so it's pulling it in just a little bit. And even over here, there's more space between the end of the sway bar and the spring than there is over there. So, I don't know. I don't know. I'll look at the cost of a full sway bar maybe. But yeah, trick was, if you drop these bolts and this bottom is loose, or it doesn't necessarily have to be loose, you can get some movement, then you can get those bolts down. See, that one is completely behind that the track bar mount, so that one you can get to, but this one being behind the track bar mount, you can't get anything but a wrench on there. And then if it was spinning and you had to get a Allen, it'd be difficult. So if you pull the sway bar down, it tilts forward, and you can get tools on there. We got everything on here. So these are still 21 millimeters. This is a 24. I don't know what this is. I'm just gonna use a big pair of pliers. And then 18 and 17, I think. Yeah. So 17 and 18 there. Still 21 up here, everything else. So tighten it down, lock in this castle nut, and then put the wheels on. Show you my alignment skills. A quick tip for installing these shackles, this actually has this groove right here for the bolt. So that's not always there, but you want the opening of this clamp to be basically the same as the opening of this shackle, so that they kind of close at the same time. So yep, it's just a simple one. I'm just snugging it so I can still turn it, but these don't spin like that. Class is in session for Wheel Alignments 101. This Jeep is easy yet not easy at the same time. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna need help here. Everything's back together, wheels are on. I haven't backed this thing up. I'm gonna back it up, move it forward, just to settle the wheels, because on an alignment rack, you've got plates down here that move back and forth, so these wheels will settle. Here, you know, you're dealing with a 16th, 18th, 16th, eighth of an inch the wheels won't necessarily settle enough. So what we'll do is we'll make sure we're the exact same distance off the ground, front and back. We're pretty dang close. So if you could be in the center, that'd be great, but obviously you want to be as high as you can without interfering with anything. And I go from one of these points, so one of these points here, to the other side, and I will measure it front and I'll measure it back. And I'll tell you that I've had extremely good success. I've never had an alignment come back, and I was an alignment tech for 3 years for my toe. So I've never had an alignment come back for toe setting. And I did them all manually because our machine was an old AMC that didn't have toe. I tried to calibrate them a few times, it never worked. So tape measure worked flawlessly every single time. So we're going to set this 1/8 of an inch, so there'll be an 1/8 of an inch more in the back than in the front. So it'll be positive toe. So how do you set it here? Well, on a typical car, both of these outer tie rod ends are threaded, and you break the jam nut loose and you can turn the tie rod, but this clearly is not that. So this little sleeve is threaded, and it's like a 36. Nothing I have fits it. I think the 32 is the biggest wrench I have, so it's at least a 36. Well, it's 33, 34, probably 36. So I'm just going to use my pliers here to turn it because it's super lubricated and new and it's good to go. So this is what's going to adjust your toe. So this will bring the toe of the Jeep in or out. The problem is, you would think that if you set the toe, you don't have to worry about the steering wheel, but it will still adjust the steering wheel. So you want to make sure you go out and drive it. And if someone really wants a perfect steering wheel, this shackle here is what you're going to have to turn to adjust the steering wheel so you have a perfectly straight steering wheel. And I'm going to be able to probably do this by hand or with pliers, but real alignment tech has a couple of tools like this, usually 1/2 inch. And what they do is they just simply go over this, and they can turn it. So if you have one that's not as free turning as this one, then you would want to use these tools. But this one's pretty free turning, and I will actually just drive it. And while I'm driving it, I won't tighten these down, or on a regular car. And I'll get out with I have a different tool for a car. Also, they typically are hexed, so you can put or just slotted, so you can put a wrench on there. But I'll get out and I'll literally turn it. So on a regular car, you got to turn both of them the exact same way. But this one's going to be interesting because it's left-handed thread. We'll figure that out. And then you want to move the vehicle back, pull it up, and make sure you get your toe set first, because that's the biggest worry, getting your toe set, and then we'll drive it and make sure the steering wheel is good. You could do this potentially in grass or sand, and hopefully they would move, but you want underneath the tires to flow pretty freely, and concrete does not do that. I'll get my assistant, and then we will set the toe. I got to back up and then come back up to where I'm at now, so give me a second. Just to adjust the wheels. So probably right about here, I think. You're gonna put it right, make sure it sits right on that thing. Then we're gonna do it to the other. So we're gonna flip it and do it to the other side. Basically, same exact spot. Does that look level? Yep, looks pretty level. So 71 1/4, 16th. All right, I'm gonna hand it to you underneath. Same thing in the back. Same spot. I'll go down to the next one. Are you on the far out thing? All right, so we're at exactly 0. Push it forward. Last time. Down 1. Okay. 7 3/8. Let me go this side. I was afraid of that. This adjuster, I guess I'll just bottom it out. It was like 3 turns, so it's bottomed out. Then, right, we can't be any worse because there wasn't much left till it bottomed out on the tie rod. And there we are. Let's see what we got. So we are towed in about 3/16. I can't go any farther that way. I want to get to about an eighth. I'm just going to go. Oh, that's not even. About a quarter turn. There we go. Go drive it. See where my steering wheel's at. Looks like a half an inch now. What the heck? Well, after going for a drive, steering wheel is just a hair to the left. I'm going to try to adjust it here. And if you move the tires to the left, the steering wheel is going to go to the right. So on this one, with this shackle, here is your pitman arm. So if my wheel is a little to the left, I want to pull the pitman arm this way to the right. So if I twist this and it pulls in and not out, then I will adjust it slightly. That will adjust it slightly. So let's see what we got here. I don't know which way is this way. Nope. This way is pulling it to the right. So that pulled it to the right. Pull the pitman arm to the right, which means it'll push. Well, the steering wheel is already to the left. The steering wheel is already to the left. So, yeah. Oh, let me see. Steering wheel to the left. Pitman arm goes to the left. The wheels are going to automatically center to the right. So, yeah, I want to go. Yeah, sure. So here's the trick with that. If you move your wheels, and this is just going to move the pitman arm, so in essence it will be moving both wheels. If you move both wheels to the right, as you drive down the road, they're going to move back to the left to center, right? They're going to auto center. Okay, well, I completely confused myself, and I know I would confuse you if I kept letting myself speak here. But what I'm trying to say is if you move your wheels to the right with either the tie rods or the drag link adjuster, your steering wheel is going to stay where it's at. So if your steering wheel is a little bit to the left, you move your wheels to the right, it's going to auto adjust, auto center back to the left, which is going to move your steering wheel even more to the left, correct? So in my case, steering wheel slightly to the left, I wanted to move the tires a little bit to the left via the tie rod / drag link. And then as it recentered to the right while driving, it moved the steering wheel to the right. So what you see here is me confusing myself and some awesomely terrible AI. Hopefully that helped. This TRQ, my wife said, she drove it first and I drove it. She said that it drove better than it's ever, I think it drove better than it's ever driven. You can still feel the big tires, but it's way better. She said it drives great. It's tighter than it's ever been. That's awesome. When I did go out and drive it and came back, it was almost 3/4 of an inch towed in. So this last time I drove it all the way down the driveway, went down a little bump, came back up. So we're good now. I'm going to go drive it one more time and double check it. Should be good though. But I'm going to tighten it down, and I think that's it, guys. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you can do this job. It's pretty easy. You know, I'm taking my time teaching and doing the sway bar link, but I'm also trying to get this perfect for my wife. So thanks for watching. Yeah, this makes it easy buying a whole setup. But catch you on the next one. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell.